His hand closed around her throat, and the room stopped breathing. The training hall, loud with grunts and shouts a moment ago, fell into dead silence. Every cadet froze. Every instructor stared. No one had ever touched a Deathworlder like that. No one dared, but Gavin thought she was just another student. Just another opponent. His grip tightened. "Got you now," he sneered. Her cold green eyes locked on his. Calm. Empty. Something ancient flickered behind them. Something wild. She didn't struggle. She didn't panic. She simply moved. Her hand shot up, clamped onto his wrist, and in a blink, she spun, twisting his arm with brutal force. A sharp crack echoed through the hall. Gavin dropped to his knees, gasping in shock, his hand slipping from her neck. His body didn't feel right, like something inside had broken. The girl stood over him, still calm, still silent. She gently tossed something onto the mat in front. Of him, it was his collarbone. Gavin's scream shattered the silence. Medics rushed in. Instructors rushed forward. But no one could erase the look in her eyes. Cold, controlled. Deadly. Someone whispered from the crowd, "Never grab a Deathworlders. Never." And now, everyone would remember why. The medics dragged Gavin away, his screams echoing down the metal halls. Blood stained the mat where his collarbone had fallen. The Deathworlder girl didn't flinch. She stood alone in the center of the ring. Breathing steady, her face unreadable. Her name was Rilith. No one dared say it out loud now. The instructor stormed toward her, eyes wide with panic. "What were you thinking?" he barked. "This was sparring, not war." Rilith's gaze slid past him, as if he didn't matter. "He touched my throat," she said softly, but her voice carried like a blade. The instructor's anger faltered. Everyone. New Deathworlders had ancient laws rules that were never to be broken. Touching the neck wasn't just an insult. It was a death challenge, but Gavin didn't know. And now he would wear that mistake forever. "Stand down," the instructor said, his voice tight. "Go back to your quarters. Now." Rilith didn't argue. She simply walked away, calm as ever, her boots echoing on the metal floor. The other cadets stepped back, fear thick in the air. No one would ever spar with her again. Not willingly. And in that silence, something dangerous began to spread. Rumors, anger, fear. Some would see her as a monster. Others as a warning. But one man would see her as his next target. The next day. The story was everywhere. They didn't call her Rilith anymore. They called her the Bonebreaker. Cadets whispered in the halls. Instructors spoke in tight circles. No one could forget the sound, that sharp, clean crack when Gavin's collarbone snapped like dry wood. Some were afraid. Others were angry, but none more than Cade. Cade was Gavin's brother. Bigger, stronger, sharper. And now he wanted blood. In the cafeteria, Cade's voice thundered. "She thinks she can walk around like nothing happened? She thinks we'll forget?" His squad slammed their fists on the table. Heads turned. Even the instructors heard, but no one stopped him. No one wanted to step between a human's rage and a Deathworlder's law. Cade's jaw clenched. She didn't just break his bone. She broke him. Gavin can't fight anymore. Can't even lift his arm. His fists shook. Someone's gotta put her in her place. His friends stared at him, unsure. Cade's eyes burned with one word: revenge. Across the room, Rilith ate alone, silent, her back straight, her eyes calm. She didn't glance at Cade. She didn't need to, because she already knew what was coming, and she was ready. The academy changed overnight. Sparring schedules were quietly rewritten. Rilith's name vanished from partner lists. No one volunteered to train with her. No one even walked near her. Hallways parted when she passed. Whispers followed like shadows. Monster, Bonebreaker, Deathworlder. But Cade didn't whisper. He let his rage roar. Instructors warned him to stand down. It was an accident. He touched her throat. He broke their law. Cade's fist slammed the table. I don't care about her law. This is our academy, our rules. But the instructors stayed. Silent. They knew Deathworlders didn't let go of their ancient instincts. They didn't choose to kill when the neck was touched. It was burned into their bones. A primal, unstoppable response. Cade didn't care. When the Academy's combat board posted the next challenge cycle, Cade did something no one expected. He signed his name on the open challenge list. And he wrote one target. Rilith. The cafeteria buzzed with electric fear. Even the instructors paused, reading his name. A formal challenge couldn't be denied. Not by the Academy. Not by her. Across the hall, Rilith stood, reading the board in silence. She traced Cade's name with her finger, then walked away without a word. The fight was set. And it would be brutal. That night, Rilith sat alone in her quarters, sharpening her combat knife, though she wouldn't need it. Her instructor appeared at her door. "You don't have to fight him," he said quietly. "We can try to block the challenge." She didn't look up. "You can't. You know the law. That's the problem. Your law doesn't belong here." His voice was tight. "This is a human academy, our rules. Not yours." She finally looked at him, her eyes cold and steady. "Then tell me this, instructor. When Gavin touched my throat, did I choose to break his bone?" The silence stretched long between them. Rilith's voice softened, but it hit like steel. "On my world, the neck is sacred. Touching it is a kill challenge. There is no thought, only reaction. It is who we are." He knew it. Everyone knew it, but no one didn't make it easier. "If Cade touches your neck," the instructor warned, "you'll kill him." Rilith's eyes flashed. Then he should not touch it. The instructor left, but the weight of the coming fight stayed. In the combat arena, the lights were already warming. The cadets were already gathering. Cade was already waiting. And Rilith? She wasn't afraid of the fight. She was afraid of what she might become in it. The news of the challenge spread like wildfire. Humans whispered in crowded halls, "She's a killer." Others muttered, "Too dangerous to fight with." Rilith's name became a curse and a warning. Her squad mates stopped talking to her. Friends avoided her eyes. Even instructors kept their distance. But Cade's squad was a different storm. They gathered every day, fueled by anger and fear. Cade's voice rang loud. "She broke Gavin. Now she's going to break the whole academy." Some cadets nodded. Some looked away, afraid to admit the truth. The divide between humans and Deathworlders grew sharper. Rilith stayed silent. She trained harder, pushing herself beyond limits no one could see. At night, in the quiet, her thoughts were loud. "This isn't just a fight. It's a war waiting to explode." Her hands clenched into fists. Because somewhere in the shadows, Cade was preparing, and he wasn't planning to lose. The arena pulsed with noise. Hundreds of cadets packed the stands, the air sharp with fear and excitement. Rilith stepped onto the combat mat, her boots striking the metal floor with steady beats. Across from her, Cade was already waiting, rolling his shoulders, his glare like fire. The instructor's voice boomed over the comms. "This is a formal challenge. No weapons, no backup. First to submit or first to fall." Cade smirked. "You'll fall." Rilith didn't answer. She just lowered into her stance, calm, balanced. "Dangerous." The buzzer screamed. Cade launched forward like a missile, fists flying in tight, brutal strikes. He was faster than Gavin, stronger, smarter. He'd been training for this. Rilith blocked and dodged, but Cade didn't give her room to breathe. His fists slammed into her ribs, her shoulder, her jaw. The crowd roared, but Rilith's eyes stayed cold. She absorbed the pain. Calculated, waited. Cade's squad cheered him on. He was winning. He was driving her back. And then, just for a split second, his instincts betrayed him. His hand shot toward her neck. The crowd gasped. Cade didn't realize what he'd done until his fingers brushed her throat. Her eyes changed. Her body reacted on its own. The fight was over the moment it truly began. The instant Cade's hand touched her neck, the world vanished. There was no arena, no crowd, no instructor's voice, only instinct, only the kill. Rilith's body moved like a weapon unleashed. She caught Cade's wrist mid-grab and twisted with bone-snapping force. His scream barely left his throat before she spun behind him, slammed him to the ground, and pinned him like prey. Her knee crushed his back, her hand locked around his throat tight, unshakable final. The crowd was dead silent. Cade clawed at the mat, desperate to escape. He realized too late what his brother never did. You never touch a Deathworlder's neck. Her grip tightened, a silent promise of death. The instructors hesitated, unsure whether to stop the fight or let it finish by Deathworlder law. Yield. One instructor finally shouted, "Cade, yield." Cade gasped, pride holding him just a second too long. But the pressure on his neck didn't stop. It would never stop. "I yield." He choked. The arena's buzzer blared, but Rilith didn't move. Her eyes were distant, her breathing steady, as if she hadn't heard. The instructor shouted again, "Rilith, release him." Slowly her hand let go. She stood calm, collected. Cade lay trembling on the mat, beaten and broken, but alive. The fight was over. But the war was just beginning. The arena emptied in silence. No cheers, no victory songs. Just the sound of Cade's labored breathing as medics hauled him away. Rilith stood alone on the mat, her heartbeat steady, her hands still trembling, not from exhaustion, but from holding back. She could have killed him. Every instinct told her to. But she stopped. She made a choice. For the first time in her life, she had resisted the Deathworlder law. The instructors watched her like she was a loaded weapon. Cadets stared from a distance, unsure if they should fear her more or respect her now. Cade's squad didn't come for her. They didn't speak. They didn't look her in the eye. Revenge had burned out. Later that night, the Academy quietly changed the combat rules. Deathworlder neck contact is strictly prohibited in training. Immediate disqualification. No one challenged the rule. No one dared. The next day, Cade sat alone in the infirmary. His pride was shattered, but his life was intact. He whispered to his brother Gavin, "She could have killed me." Gavin only stared at the ceiling and said, "She didn't." For the first time, Cade understood. Rilith wasn't a monster. She was something far more dangerous. She was in control. The Academy would never forget what happened in that arena. Cadets spoke her name with a strange mix of fear and awe. Some called her dangerous. Some called her a warrior. But one thing was clear. No one would ever grab a Deathworlder's neck again. Rilith returned to training, but no one volunteered to spar with her. Even instructors adjusted drills to avoid close contact holds. The rule wasn't just on paper, now it was burned into memory. One afternoon, a new cadet, fresh from Earth, swaggered into the gym and asked, "What's the big deal?" "She's just another fighter, right?" The room went quiet. No one answered. Finally, Cade, still recovering, stood nearby and spoke for everyone. "You can fight her. You can hit her. You can even knock her down." He stepped closer, his voice cold, his stare sharp. "But you never ever grab a Deathworlder by the neck." The new cadet laughed nervously. "Why? What happens?" Cade's lips curled into a grim smile. "If you're lucky, you'll just lose your collarbone." Across the room, Rilith's calm eyes flicked toward them for only a second, calm but watching. The message was clear. The warning was permanent, and some mistakes the Academy had learned only get made once.